My name's Zach Martin. I've been in crypto since 2016, 2017. I have background from banking to investigations. This is how I didn't get wrecked, trusting the custodian system at FTX. I was praying that cryptocurrency was not going to work out, only because I didn't have the time or capacity to learn it. And I saw how disruptive it could be. And when the crash of 2017 happened, I was kind of like, maybe this isn't going to work out. But then with the crash and trying to learn from why it did crash, I realized it was just a silliness, and it was going to come back with a vengeance stronger than anything I'd ever seen. So when I went over to Salesforce in 2019, everybody wanted to know about equities, but then the really smart people, they were digging into crypto. And that became an obsession with me and a handful of people that were on the floor. As much as we were working our deals, we were also trying to read through every protocol and figure out what they were doing and why it was special and exciting. And it also became a focus in the financial services group to really reach out to those crypto companies and pretend like we were interested in selling them software, but mostly just learn more about crypto as much as we can. Doing so, I kind of stumbled upon Chainalysis and got introduced to Jonathan Levin. Him and I kind of talked back and forth a little bit, and he said, we're looking for people on the West Coast. Would you think about jumping over? Of course, took it. But the exciting part about this, where it kind of goes into the ledger story, is I think that what happens is people go with what's comfortable and what's easy, and then they start kind of becoming numb to the different things they should do. So the industry is moving so fast. It seems so safe. Everything's so great. You kind of get so excited you don't check all the boxes that you should. So even though you know that cold storage is something that's really exciting, even though you know owning your crypto is something that's important, and in the story it sounds good, you're moving so fast all the time, you kind of overlook it. And so when I first got to talk to Jose, and this is a month into working at MoonPay, we're sitting down, and I think that the most important conversation you have with your coworkers is like, let's get a base level understanding of where you are in the crypto kind of evolution, right? And so I did well, I think. I was like, I've been at Chainalysis. Here's the different tokens that I own. These are the different protocols I play in. These are the different products I use. And he's like, well, let me ask you something. He didn't even say, do you have a cold wallet? He's like, do you have a ledger? And I was like, oh yeah, I have this right here. I just haven't set it up yet. And the look on his face, like, you haven't set it up yet? I was like, yeah, I have it. It's sitting right here. I just haven't done it. And he's like, I'm going to do you a favor. We got 15 minutes left on this call. Take that 15 minutes to go set it up right now, because I just want you to realize what it is. And that was the coolest point. There's no other reason. He didn't pitch me on you have to do this because it's healthy, because you're going to get all. No, he's like, it's going to take you 15 minutes and it's so much easier than you think it is. So I was like, you know what? I want to go ahead and do this. I took all of my Solana off of FTX. I took all of it off the FTX US, which was the BlockFi at that time, not because I had any inkering that anything was going on at FTX, because it felt silly of okay, it was sitting there. Let's move a little bit. Let's see how hard it is. Okay, now that I know it's safe, you know what? It's been sitting there. It's just sitting there doing nothing. Why not have it in cold storage? And this was I started at the end of September, so this was in the middle of October that I started moving it over. Completely dumb luck. Completely random. And then the news started coming down. Luckily enough, a bunch of people I knew from Chainalysis were running a lot of the transaction monitoring at FTX, so those tweets started coming in very quickly. Our Telegram started buzzing really fast. And it's like, no way this is happening. And I'll tell you, whatever I had left on FTX, I couldn't pull off fast enough because there was delays. There was all these other things. And thank God, Jose and I had this conversation. And I moved it off and put it into my Ledger wallet. We all know the benefits of self-custody. When I talked to Jose, I'm not going to lie to you. When he was like, do you have a Ledger? And I showed him a box with it sealed up in cellophane. That was embarrassing for me. Because it's not like it's a... it's not like oh yeah, I smoke on the side and nobody knows about it. Whatever. It was like here is a right that's granted to you by participating in this ecosystem, and you're just kind of throwing it away. And he didn't put that on me, but that was what was in the back of my head. So it didn't say I was like, oh yeah, I have it right here. And as soon as I held it up, I was like, I am such a dope, because the only thing keeping me from unlocking an entitlement to me was my own laziness, was my own apathy.
Interesting. That's a very interesting way to put it. And I do think of self-custody as a right or a freedom, or certainly in that class of things, something that that it's exciting that we have access to, and we're fortunate to have. So I really appreciate that framing.
Yeah, and I think that's a really way to that's the coolest way that I've been trying to push it on people, is look, this is something that you can't go to the bank and say, I want to that doesn't work. It's not something that's granted to you in the traditional fiat rails. This is something it's an epiphany of this design. It's so exciting.
What I always say to people is, if not self-custody, why crypto?
And that's what it kind of came down to.
People are like, they don't necessarily get what you mean, right? Because their answer is often, well, to get rich quick, right? You know what I mean? But it's like, no. Think like very broadly about it. Like, what is the new thing which is actually offered here?